All right, everyone, welcome to the Arcane Gate. I'm Denaro, and today we have a special guest. Say hello, Jaamoe. Oh, people are frozen. Hi, I'm Denaro.
I'm Charles Walker, and we are joined by our fellow streamer, Jamo. What's up, buddy?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, great to have you.
Before we begin on our topics today, why don't you tell everybody about yourself, like where they can find you and all that jazz?
Well, you can find me on social media and on Twitter and Instagram, Jamo, Jaamoe. It's the same for both. In chat, or somewhere, I think Denaro put up some link somewhere. You'll find my YouTube. I don't have a custom link for that yet. But anyway, I'm a husband. I'm a dad. I got 2 kids. I typically stream after they're in bed, and I play a bunch of different stuff. I'm playing Control right now. Loving it. Just got access to the closed beta for Valorant, so I'm going to try to play some of that a little bit.
Nice.
So yeah, that's.
I was wondering about that because I felt like you do a lot of FPS stuff with like Warzone and stuff like that.
Yeah, the last time I played with Lumberjack Allen, and we had a blast. But then, like the 4 or 5 times after that, like I got so tilted, like every game, and so I'm like,
Really?
You know what? It's like I'm 39. My reflexes are not what they used to be. Like I'm just gonna put that away for just a minute and play something I know I can play without getting mad.
I can understand that. Don't worry. Was it just kind of like the influx of people coming in, and there's the people that are outrageously good at the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was my problem with Fortnite. Is I genuinely like Fortnite as a game, but once it got really popular, then everyone got super good at it, and the people that can play all day long, and me who could only play like an hour or so a day, I was getting creamed every time.
Yeah, it's me too. 2.5 hours, every other day. Just it's hard to get really good.
Yeah.
Over time you can get better, but it's just that slope where everyone's playing like hours and hours on end.
Yeah, and then you get with a team that is just completely toxic and like, oh, it's just like, dude, we're having fun. Like, it's okay.
But luckily in D&D, it's a game you can't get tilted over, but overall,
Yes.
You're not getting shot by someone who got a lucky golden pull at the beginning.
Well,
Yeah.
it can
Well, maybe
happen.
not in the same way. Maybe not in the same way.
Yeah.
It can. I know that was a funny thing me and Kristen have encountered where someone will ask, "Hey, since your wife plays, I bet you're really easy on her, aren't you?" And she will instantly tell them every bad thing I've ever done to her in Dungeons and Dragons.
That's great.
Especially lately, because her character ended up dying. She's like, "No, he killed me!" That was great. Which was one thing I was wanting to talk about in particular I thought was pretty awesome, is you actually play with your family, don't you? Or at least one of your kids.
I have played D&D with my son, and when he was younger, like when he was probably like 4 or 5, I brought out one of the dice. I don't remember what it was, and I drew the little map on a piece of paper, and I put one of his little Lego guys here and the little guy here, and I said, "Okay, so what's this guy want to do?" And he said, "Oh, I want him to go over there and get that thing." I said, "Okay, now we're gonna let the dice make the decision, right?" And Corey, he's 4 or 5, and whatever. Fast forward, I bought a starter box for Pathfinder, which I know it's not D&D, but
Well, look at the time. I'm sorry, buddy.
we played through that, and he got really interested. And recently, he and his buddies have been playing over Discord somehow, or he hasn't been playing with them, but he's been kind of sitting in. And so I've played online with some friends using a game called Tabletop Simulator, which is fantastic if you haven't used it. So he walks into the kitchen the other day and he goes, "Dad, I think you're a dork, but I'm going to roll." But wait, it gets better. He goes, "But I think I'm gonna roll for it." I said, "Oh, okay." And he says, your resistance is 10. And so he gets his D20 and he rolls it out on the stove and it hit 13. He goes, "Ha, you are a dork." And
you tweeted that, didn't you? I remember that. That killed me when I read that.
And it's one of those moments where you're laughing, you're really proud, but on the inside you're just like, it's a perfect day.
My pride.
The rite of passage of getting called a dork by my child.
And he rolled and he rolled to seal it. That's what was perfect.
Yeah, it's like he just came up and slapped you. It's like, I'm the alpha dork at a house.
Yes.
Oh, that's
kid.
great.
Oh, you mentioned.
He sounds like it. How old?
Oh yeah.
How old is he?
He's 12. Yeah, he's going to be 13 1st of May. So
awesome.
Hooray for teenagers.
Yeah. There's going to be even more into D&D pretty soon.
Well, see, that's the thing, is he has bigger game ADD than I do. He'll play Roblox for a while, then he'll build something in Roblox for a while, then he'll go play Half-Life 2, and he'll play that for a day, and then he'll go play something else, and then, like, now he found some, I don't even know what it is, but now he's building a video game with some app he's got where you don't have to write the code, you just put the blocks and certain blocks and stuff together. I don't know the name of it.
Oh.
Is it on PS4?
No, it's on his computer.
Huh.
I don't remember what it's called, but he made this game where you're like this little car, and you drive around on the surface of the moon, and that's all you can do right at the moment. But he's been like focused like a laser on that all day. It's crazy. He's definitely going to be a programmer.
That's cool. Yeah, that's impressive that he has the focus for that at his age.
Mm-hmm.
He has way more focus than I ever had.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing that. Like, I asked PS4 because I know Dreams came out recently for PS4, and it's supposed to be really cool. But I thought, man, it'd be funny to make this. And I thought about it, I'm like, would I take the time for that though?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, because I mean, I do put a lot of thought and work into D&D, but it's just like it already takes up time as it is.
Well, yeah, and that's where that's where your passions kind of take over, and that's for me. Like, I get stuck with games sometimes because I'll get super duper passionate about something. Like, I loved, and I still do, the Splinter Cell games, and I own most of them on the computer. But it's like I'm playing Control right now, and I love Control, and so it's like I get really passionate about like 16 different things and can't decide what to do. But then you always have that one or two things that kind of just rise to the top over everything.
Yeah, I can understand that because in the middle of the quarantine, I just decided to replay all Resident Evil 7 because I felt appropriate for his sickness.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already beaten that like a time or so, but I just want to again. And I'm just trying to get caught up in my backlog right now. But Mighty Sampson made a pretty good point. He says Wizard has started putting some free content, adventures and some kid activities on their website during the stay home and stuff.
Oh, cool. We'll have to check that out.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have him repost it in a moment. Yeah, continue.
Okay.
Just doing background stuff at the moment.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I like that. It's a cool idea, and it's something that interests me because another thing we were wanting to talk about is kind of growing up with D&D being scrutinized. Because were you in kind of small town setting too, like we were?
No, I wasn't small town. My dad was a pastor. And
okay.
Yeah. So from that end, Southern Baptist. So like D&D, Ouija boards, wizards, magic. I mean, I couldn't even watch the Smurfs when I was a kid because of Gargamel, because he was that wizard guy, like back in the day when I think the original Ninja Turtle show came out. We couldn't watch it because it was too violent. And now with my 1-year-old,
Oh man,
we're watching Kung Fu Panda. And
you're letting them play Half-Life 2.
Right. But no, it's because of that. Like I grew up very, I don't want to say sheltered, but kind of that, because of the way everything was taught, believing what your parents say about everything. And then when the time came and I went out on my own, it's like, wait a minute, none of this seems to match. You know?
Right.
And so finding D&D was like one of the first 3 or 4 things in my life that I was like, oh, they're wrong about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get you.
Even like to this day, some people are still that way.
Yeah, I know that happened recently where at my church, of all places, I got a friend who's a younger guy. I think he's 16 right now, but he was really interested in D&D and wanted to play, but his mom wouldn't let him because it was she really liked me and wanted him to hang around me because she thought I was a good influence, but
well, the best way,
she didn't like that one thing about me.
Yeah, the best way to explain it to any mother was the way my best friend explained it to me. We were standing on my front steps, and we were kind of having this conversation, and he said, so here's what D&D is. I said, okay. He said, you're a big muscly guy, you've got a big axe, and you've got a guy coming at you with a sword and he's going to kill you. What are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm obviously going to fight him. I'm going to sword fight him. He goes, okay, in order for you to hit him, we have to roll the dice to decide that. I said, okay. And he goes, that's D&D. And I went, you're kidding. That's all it is? And so it's like from there, it's just like, we started running campaigns, and I've been involved in, I don't know, a handful of different things since then. And it's great. I love it.
Yeah, I got you. That's awesome. I had kind of a similar experience when I found out what it was. I'm like, that's it? Because in all essence, it's just playing pretend for a while, and that's something I did. Yeah. That's what I like, that some people are trying to gear more to kids, because I think that'd just be such a good thing for kids to have an outlet for that creativity.
Yeah.
Because I know me, like, all I had is I'd go into woods for, like, pretty much all hours of daylight in a day, and I just play pretend all day. Just imagine myself in them settings, like, what really was the main thing? Mainly Pokemon. I always imagined myself in the Pokemon world as a kid.
Yeah.
It's before I discovered a lot of the fantasy shows, like He-Man really got me into fantasy as well. And eventually Lord of the Rings, because
oh my god,
that's one of the my mom wouldn't let me watch that until I grew up. I didn't watch it until I was like 15 or 16, because mom thought like the little Gollum was like this little monster, and she's like, oh, it'll probably scare you, you shouldn't watch that. And I grew up and watched it, and I'm like, that's it?
That's not scary.
You kept this from me, how could you? I love them. But she let me watch Star Wars, funny enough. Yeah, like...
Okay.
I don't know, I love my mom to death. There was just some things she was kind of weird about, but I was kind of the opposite end, where my mom really didn't keep me from it. She always trusted me enough to make my own decisions. It's just...
Yeah, that's good.
Both my parents really weren't nerdy people at all. They're very, very realistic, grounded people. Like, they only really like working with their hands and outside, and that's really about it. They're not really much into the fantasy stuff, so I had to look for a lot of it myself and through my friends and stuff. So D&D being as small as it is down here, that was really hard to find. I found out about it because I was going through YouTube one day, and a Nerdarchy video got recommended to me. And I kind of heard about it and always thought, like, but it was always associated with Satan or cults or whatever.
Yeah.
Like at my school, someone told me Magic the Gathering was satanic.
Yeah.
Of all things,
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird to me because Magic's also like one of the more accepted nerdy things there is. So I was just like,
true.
Weird. What do they think of the other stuff?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, then I watched them like, that's it. And by that point, I was a senior going into college. When I got to college, I started looking to find groups. And yeah, I was just kind of having that moment of, this is so innocent. How did it get this reputation?
Yeah. Fear.
Mm-hmm.
Control.
Not really also like knowing exactly what it is. So whenever you're afraid of it and you don't know what it is, you're just gonna amplify that fear more.
Yeah, that's true.
Basically.
Mm-hmm. I actually have a friend who's so he played D&D back when he was younger. However, his family doesn't know much about D&D. And so they also grew up thinking that it was bad. And he's actually coming up with a creative way, sort of like what you did with your son, where making a little game and simplifying D&D.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they get that concept, it's like, all right, that's all it is. Just a little bit more. Sprinkle a little bit more in there, and that's it.
Yeah. I don't know. I've also seen the opposite end of where one of my good buddies, Isaiah, actually, he actually played D&D with his dad, who is a pastor.
Yeah, there are pastors out there that are pretty cool like that.
Yeah, most of the ones I've encountered, I've never encountered an actual pastor that just straight beamed down at me for it. But yeah, I know in one particular, like I explained it to one I knew, and since he said you could do anything with it, he's really into Game of Thrones, so he kind of had that. He's kind of into fantasy as it is, so he had that little bit of interest. And he's like, yeah, you can do all these things. Explain some of the stuff to him. And it's like, you can play cleric, so you can basically tell the story of Jesus in Dungeons and Dragons, right? I'm like, oh, yeah, you could.
Yeah,
like,
sure, of course.
Yeah, it was just the way. I was surprised he took that direction with him, but like, yeah, technically you could.
Yeah. I had a group of guys I ran with when I lived down in Florida, and their pastor said, you play whatever you want to, just don't call it that, because he didn't want to condone. So whenever they said they were going to go play, he said, yeah, we're going to go play Snakes and Castles. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting too, just kind of little bunny trail about D&D, is how that, because it started like on literal like paper, like the first few books were just handwritten like that, right? And how that whole subculture has grown into, there's a Star Wars tabletop, there's Pathfinder, there's Shadowrun. I don't know if you heard of that one. That one's crazy cool. I ran a campaign with that once, and how that one little game is now like a huge genre just in and of itself. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's growing and defining itself in its own way, and that's awesome. I do like that. Like, so I was looking into it, since Nerdarchy, I'm a pretty big fan of them, honestly, but they're actually launching their own convention, and just the fact to me that there is, like, entire conventions dedicated to D&D now, it ain't just kind of lumped in with anime, comic books, and all that stuff. That's cool to me.
Oh, yeah, that's really sweet.
Yeah. And, yeah, it's just amazing that it went from such scrutiny to what it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which, that's something else I want to talk about, because that's something I was hoping to do one day with my kids, is show them D&D, because I had such an overactive imagination, and I still do that. I really haven't grown up at all, but I thought that'd be... Yeah. I thought that'd be a really good outlet for my kids one day, is showing them that and seeing if they'd be interested. More than likely, being a kid, ADHD and all the energy, they probably lose interest, or they may like it. Who knows?
Yeah, and I find, because even on my end with my kids, I thought my son would be not really interested in it at all. But when he saw that, because 2-3 years ago, I was actually going, I was in a campaign. I was going to like every week or every other week, and so he wanted to know what we were doing. Now, I made up this stupid little thing with Pathfinder just to kind of gauge how he was going to be. But he sat there for 25-35 minutes, and we ran through a little encounter, and he had fun with it, and he liked it.
Nice.
And he would always come out like in the middle of the day, Dad, let's go play Pathfinder. And I'm like, dude, like, I need time to prepare. We can't just like jump into this.
It's not that easy to just come up with something.
Yeah, I mean, I could make it up on the fly, but it won't be very good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm hoping to do that one day. So it's something I thought was really cool. But either way, on the topic of that, so that's what you'd really say to someone who is dealing with that with a family, is just kind of break it down and explain it as what it is and don't even use the name of it. I honestly think that's a good way of doing it, because at this point I feel like when you say the name of it to someone who's never actually experienced it, they'll already have their preconceived notion of it and may be less receiving for anything you have to say.
Yeah, because it immediately gives a label, and that's for everybody. Like, we'll hear the title of something or the name of something, and we automatically put a label on top of whatever that is. And D&D has that label, and it's typically negative in the main, in the mainstream of things. Now it's slow, like you were saying before, Charles. It is slowly kind of creeping into some mainstream areas, but it's not fully embedded in there yet. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you just bring up, hey, like my buddy, like my best friend said, what do you want to do? Well, I want to do this. Okay, well, the dice makes the decision, and that's it. Like you said, it's just playing make believe. It's just having fun. It's being creative. It's hanging out with friends. It's no different, in my opinion, than getting on a video game and playing a video game with my friends on the other side of the country. Only we're sitting in the same room, and the game is decided, instead of by a computer, by the roll of the dice, which is essentially what's happening anyway in the code. So it's in reality, it's no different. I still find it hilarious that parents will let their kids play, Call of Duty. They're playing Modern Warfare, blowing people away, but you wouldn't be okay with them playing Dungeons and Dragons because of the label. That I don't know. People are weird.
I hate to say, some parents, they really don't look skin deep in a lot of things. Like, the worst example I can think of is I had some friends who used to run a game store, and I'd hang out in there a lot when I was younger, and I was sitting in there just can't remember what I was doing. I was reading something, but I was sitting next to one of the game sections, and I heard a kid just he pulled up a copy of Naughty Teddy Bear. You remember that PS3 game?
I never had PlayStation until I got married.
Yeah, okay. I haven't heard much about it, but it was like some game where you're playing as a teddy bear, and you could just stab other teddy bears, and stuffing will come at it. It's ridiculous.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so a kid shouldn't be playing it, and the kid brought it over to his mom and was just like, "Hey, Mom, can I get this?" She's like, "No, you can't. It has Ted in it." Like, remember the Seth MacFarlane movie, Ted?
No, I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. It's a movie where Seth MacFarlane was playing a teddy bear, and it was a pretty gruesome movie, so hearing it, I was like, okay, that's fair. Well, not gruesome, but crude, I guess, the way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I just didn't think much of it. I was like, okay, well, whatever. And then I go up there to check something out, and I see the mom bought the kid GTA 5.
Oh my god.
This kid couldn't have been older than 10.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there staring like, what?
It's like, you're not okay with that, but you're okay with this. Mm-hmm. She clearly had no idea what was in that game.
No, like, And this is really getting me is she looks at it and sees a teddy bear and assumes, oh, it's Ted, but reads the words Grand Theft Auto and thinks, okay, that's fine.
Oh, they're just racing cars.
That's not a bad lie, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even my mom and her ignorance about video games knew about Grand Theft Auto. Like, to this day, she thinks I had a secret copy of Grand Theft Auto that I kept from her. Like, that just came up, we were talking one day. It's like, yeah, I never really played M-rated games until I was actually old enough to. She's like, no, you didn't? You played Grand Theft Auto? I'm like, no, I didn't. And she's like, yeah, you did. You were hiding it from me when you were younger. And I'm just, I don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
But she's fully convinced I was hiding a copy of Grand Theft Auto from her on my old PS2.
That's crazy.
That I got when I was like 14 or something.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, it's funny, but sad at the same time.
Yeah. See, I never
And
had.
it's just,
I never had a PlayStation. I was a Nintendo kid growing up. Still kind of am.
Represent.
So, the most violent video game I had growing up was probably
Conkers.
no. We were all Mario, and it was probably the Zelda games. It was probably the most violent game we had.
The N64 ones were pretty rough, so if you had those, I can't say I blame you.
Dude, Turok on the 64, that was pretty. That was pretty gruesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just when I think of rough Nintendo games, the only thing that really comes to mind is Conkers and maybe Bayonetta.
Yeah, I didn't play either of those.
Is Bayonetta?
Oh yeah. Wait, what?
Is Bayonetta rated M? Or is it T?
Maybe?
Once I turned 18, I haven't been looking, but I mean,
Yeah.
That's honestly fair. I literally have it in my living room, but I could tell you later.
yeah.
Because, I don't know, like, it wasn't as bloody as Devil May Cry, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the visuals are one thing, but, like, Nintendo nowadays doesn't have a lot of rated M. If it's rated M, it's outsourced.
It's just more for the sake of Mario being shirtless and Mario Odyssey was a big deal. Then there's Bayonetta, pretty sexual in nature game, so it's like, huh. Alright. These two things totally go together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love my Switch. Like, out of all the Nintendo consoles I've had, the Switch is probably, well, I was playing before the
My wife's playing mine, so I can't be part of the y'all. She's playing Animal Crossing right now.
Yeah, I cannot. I've watched my son play some, but that's just not my game. It's just not. I mean, it's cool and it's cute, but
it's very relaxing.
Yeah.
It's one of those games that you are playing just to kill time.
See, that's World of Warcraft for me.
Yeah, I was there when I was younger. World of Warcraft was my thing. Hours. Maybe that's why I'm not playing it anymore.
It's for your own good.
It is for my own good.
I'm just gonna come over one day. You just have a full Doritos and Mountain Dew layer. It's like, Trey, look what you do.
And there he is. I'm almost to level 150. Gotta drain my shaman running around shocking people.
Yeah. Hey, shaman was my class. I love shaman. In vanilla, like, the shaman was the stuff, and then they just started nerfing it like crazy. You could drop like 3 or 4 totems and just own. Now 1 totem at a time, and it's annoying.
I just realized I should have utilized the chat with all because Mighty Samson came through with the W that Bayonetta's rated M.
Yeah, I just saw that
awesome.
too.
Yeah, I think it was. If anything, it was. She's naked for one very brief scene in one fight, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
It's fair. It's fair.
But I think there's a decent bit of cussing in it. But yeah, I grew up pretty much Nintendo kid as well. I didn't have an actual main console until I got like a 360 from a neighbor. Yeah, because he sold it to me for like $60.
Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah, it was he was wanting to get a PS3, so he sold it to me, and yeah, it's the first actual console I had. Before that, well, I guess you could count Wii as the actual console as well. It's just
Yeah, the Wii was an actual console. That was a great one.
yeah, I was iffy on that one.
If they didn't force
say,
like all the features, it'd been great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, I'm someone who I love Nintendo, but when I didn't like with Wii, I felt like they had some of the most amazing games ever and some of the most lackluster games ever.
Yeah, that is true.
Like, Twilight Princess, still one of my all-time favorite games.
Oh my
I
God,
absolutely
yes.
love that game.
Oh my God. And the motion controls for that game, oh, they were so smooth. Oh man.
Yeah, like, sometimes they nailed the motion controls. Like, with that one and Skyward Sword, they were really good.
And see, that Skyward Sword's the one of the 3 Zelda games I have not played.
Yeah, I've been
Really
playing
good.
Twilight.
You haven't played it?
Yeah, I haven't
Oh
played
my gosh, man, you gotta.
Dude,
Oh, yeah.
that is such a great story. Oh my word.
Yeah, because it was my favorite up until Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild just blew me away, but
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, up till then it was that one. Then probably Minish Cap was my second favorite. I really like that one.
Yeah,
I feel like it's one of the more underrated ones.
that's one of the other 3 that I have not played.
It's really good. It's one of the ones set in a map that Link to the Past is on.
Okay.
Yes?
So it's got that style of it.
Okay.
Yeah, no one talks about that. The Minish Cap's literally the same setting as all them.
So that one, Link to the Past and Link Between Worlds is all on the same setting?
Yes.
I don't know if it's the same Link, but you all start in the same house.
Yeah, the Link Between Worlds I played is for the 3DS, and it's essentially the same exact map. And they did make tweaks, so there's certain places you couldn't go that you could on the original. But Link Between Worlds was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And the Link to the Past, I've probably played through it 3 or 4 times. It's one of my favorites.
I never beat that one because I got really frustrated because the game glitched and I could never beat it.
Oh no!
Like you know, in that one dungeon in the Dark World where you save that one person and it turns out it's the boss following you the whole time. When I went through one room, they just disappeared and it glitched out, and I've never been able to trigger them following me again.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That sucks. Oh.
Like, I figured it out. I watched a playthrough of it. When we went through where she was supposed to fight me, she didn't, and we escaped the dungeon, and she disappeared.
Oh, man.
It hurts.
That sucks, dude.
Yeah. So it's just, I want to play it. I still have it for my Game Boy Advance. It's just getting all the way to that point again, because Link to the Past was a long one.
Yeah, Link to the Past was really long. But it was fun.
Yeah. Oh, it was fun. It's like, you beat all the temples, like, it's okay, I got it. You go to a whole second map? Wait. What?
There's more!
Yeah.
Most Zelda games have 2 phases.
Yep, even
I've
the first
noticed
one
that.
did.
Yeah. Here's the basic temples. You get that, you're good. Oh, you didn't get the secret elemental temples.
There's always something where you have to, like, you get the first things, and it's like, oh, I have to either increase the sword, or I have to get these temples instead.
Yeah.
What I
think
really
Breath
like
of the Wild's the only one who didn't have that.
and that's what I was going to say. Like every other Zelda game was pretty much, I don't want to say a tunnel, but there pretty much was a very specific path you had to take to get to the end. And Breath of the Wild was almost the first Zelda game that didn't follow that same pattern. That you could do the main storyline and take you 4 or 5 hours to do that. I don't know if that's how long it is, or you can do
if you're naked Link fighting Ganon with a stick.
Right. Yeah. and personally, I've spent over 300 hours in that game, just trying to doing everything and playing everything because it's great. It's an incredible game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It really is. I love it. But yeah, that's something I loved about it because it was because that was one complaint I had is usually I like a Zelda game based on how useful the items are outside the dungeon you get them in.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that was always it always felt like it's more padding for space sometimes than it was actually getting useful items. Like it's something Link Between Worlds did really good where you pretty much used the items in multiple different dungeons.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That was good.
Yeah, and Breath of the Wild, just, hey, do whatever, man. If you can make it past all the Guardians and fight Ganon, go ahead.
Yeah.
I tried, god dang those things.
Yeah,
Every time I hear the piano music, I just instantly lock up and panic.
Oh, dude, the struggle's real, trust me.
Those things are so fast.
I know. The expansion, the DLC was pretty good too. I don't know if
I haven't played that yet. I've been
good.
I keep telling myself I'm going to buy it from a Switch. I just keep stopping myself because I know, like you with Warcraft, I'm not going to do anything else if I buy it.
Well, the thing is I've actually bought World of Warcraft here recently and been playing again, and been really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's just I've played it for Wii U, and so I want to play it for Switch and have it fully optimized and everything. But I know I'm going to dedicate all my time to that, so I'm just trying to get to a point where I'm caught up enough on the games I want to play that I can dedicate a lot of time to it. But Fire Emblem Three Houses I dedicated a crap ton of time to, and I still have to finish one house in that game, and lately, Persona 5 Royale's taken up a lot of my time, too.
Oh, yeah. So all the games that have, 20 plus hours in them.
oh, Persona 5, the first time I played it took me 100 hours, so I'm expecting the expanded game to take me even longer.
Yeah, I've never played any of those either. And again, that's probably my very Christian upbringing.
I'll say that, because there's a funny story behind Persona that it's known to be one of the most censored games in gaming history when it came to what they changed to Americanize it. Because Persona 1, when it was released in America, was renamed Persona Revelations. And they did some weird changes, like they did your average change all the names to be more American, but they also they did some weird dubbing of lines and other stuff like that. I can't remember all of it, but the one that always sticks out to me the most is they made one of the Japanese characters black, and it didn't, not well drawn at all.
Oh wow!
It's just to the point, well, why?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
yeah. Just saw that.
It's a whole. Oh, you looked it up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can back me up on that. It wasn't too natural of a transition.
No, because I've never heard of the Persona 1 or 2. I've heard of 3, 4, and now 5.
Well, it's one of the fandoms where some people are purists to the first two, and there was a big gameplay shift from 3 and beyond. I will admit that, because have y'all ever actually heard of Shin Megami Tensei games?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. All of them are an offshoot of those games, which are pretty straightforward dungeon crawlers.
Wait a minute. Did you say Shenmue?
No, Shin Megami Tensei.
Okay, no.
No, not Shenmue. No. That would be a funny crossover, though. If Brad's in the chat, he's about to probably go nuts because he loves the SMT games. But to my understanding, they're all mostly pretty straightforward dungeon crawler there, but there's this big multiverse of different games in them. Like, there's the main line Shin Megami Tensei games, then there's all these crazy offshoots of them, like some are more fantasy-based, some are more kind of cyberpunk-based, stuff like that. And Persona's one set in the actual main world, and usually centered around high school students. 1 and 2 were all kind of in that same boat of being pretty straightforward dungeon crawlers. 3 transitioned pretty much to just being a sole high school simulator with a dungeon crawling in the background. Yeah, and it's done pretty well. It's a big time management game because you have limited days to pretty much do a lot of stuff. And I really like them. They got a great story in the games, but one other detail of it to me is also 1 and 2 actually tie together like perfectly. They're considered like actual sequels of each other because there's a part 2 where pretty much the entire cast of both games all come together for one big finale. And Persona 3 pretty much started this whole new universe where 3 and 4 tie together somewhat. Then they made some spin-off games where the games actually do collide together.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And in 5, there's references to 4 and 3, but there hasn't been a blank crossover yet, except for a non-canon game they made for the DS.
Yeah. It's definitely like a big series that has, well, one, a lot of content in it, but also just like one game. How you mentioned you took like 100 plus hours in?
Yeah. Yeah, because it takes you through an entire school year through the actuals thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you start at the beginning of the year, go into summer, then you go into fall and winter, and game ends. That final dungeon's around that time. And also, one detail I forgot to mention, 1 and 2 also came out on PS1, and the only re-releases they did were on PSP. So, while PSP sold good, kind of limited access in comparison to the fact that 3 and 4 were on PS2, one of the most sold consoles in existence.
Yeah. I had a PSP and could not find games for it.
Yep.
It's actually almost an hour already. Usually how we end our little talk show is we like to get like funny D&D stories from our guest. Is there any that comes to mind?
Yes.
I love that.
Okay.
Okay. I really hope my best friend is in chat. I don't think he is, but the last campaign I was in was with him, and we were using Tabletop Simulator, so we were playing with people all over the place. Mm-hmm. And one of the guy's son was playing, but you could tell he just wasn't there. He just wanted to be around people, and so he's a rogue, and he wanted to steal something. Or no, they asked him, what do you want to do? And he goes, I don't know. And his dad suggested, why don't you try to steal something? You're a rogue. And so he said, okay, I'm going to steal something from this barmaid right here. He rolled a 20. And so my best friend, this is what my best friend said. So you walk over there with the intention of stealing some money from her. And what happened is you stole her panties without her even knowing that you did it. 20 minutes, everything was gone. We were done. Just laughing. And that's and again, that's just an example of how much fun D&D can be. Because if you've got a really great DM who can see a situation like that and really come up with something class, it's hilarious. It's just great.
Out of
That's probably
curiosity, how old was the son?
Oh, he is 14, 15 years old.
Okay. Okay, because you said son, that was kind of vague. I'm like, hold up, how old was this kid?
Yeah, no. It's not old enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned
I'm sure at that age you got to crack out of that.
Oh yeah. You mentioned Tabletop Simulator, and I know like we're about to wrap up, but like I've been curious about like how a D&D campaign can work on that.
Okay, so it's actually absolutely perfect for D&D because one, you just use Discord to talk, even though there is an in-game like voice server thing. It's not good,
Right?
But you have the table, and then you have different seats around the table, and they're all virtual. And so with different free mods within the Steam Workshop, you can have in my little station at the table, I have a space that nobody else can see, that I have like my characters, notes, timers, dice rollers, all kinds of things. You can find little 3-dimensional figures you can put on the map, and the map itself, man, you can find anything: houses, trees, and anything and everything. Or you can just draw it all out, and then you can save it for the next thing. It's absolutely fantastic. My best friend's been running one with Tabletop Simulator for over a year with some folks, and it's flawless. My son and I watched him play a little bit the other night, and when it was over, William was like, "That was so cool." Because it's really great. Because these days playing D&D with 5 or 6 people all in the same place, everybody getting to that one location could sometimes be difficult. Where with Tabletop Simulator, you just do it all digitally, and you can use cameras if you want to. I mean, we never did because everybody. I mean, we just knew everybody, but
Right.
Still, it's and it's on sale right now for $10.
Hey, yeah. Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, like I've been wanting to get a game together on tabletop, but yet I haven't heard of anybody actually successfully doing it, and that's just great to hear. That, yeah.
Oh yeah, and if you want offline, I can get you connected with my best friend, and he can walk you through and show you kind of what they're doing and what he does as a DM, and it's great. It's the next, in my opinion, it's the next best thing to actually sitting at a table with people.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, check Jaamoe out. Links will be in chat. And do you have anything else you want to let us know, chat know?
Oh, just thanks so much for having me. This is the first time I've ever been on a on the podcast or show like this. I really appreciate the invite, and it's been a blast hanging out and talking with y'all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was good having you, buddy. Appreciate you coming.
Hey, no problem. Anytime.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. We'll have Deep Speech here on Tuesdays at 7 p.m., as well as the Torn Veil on Saturdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.